Alright, I'm fired up. Not only did my Wisconsin Badgers show up big today against Purdue, but you guys showed up big as well. In my last video, I asked you guys to send me your college application essays so we can review them together, and I was completely humbled by the response. There were quite a few people that sent me essays, which was so amazing to see, and I did get a chance to read all of them, but in this video, we are going to select 3 to go over together so I can share some of my advice and tips with you guys about writing your college essays. If you are new here, my name is Jackson Walker, and I used to work as an admissions representative at the University of Wisconsin. In that role, I helped students from across the world apply to and get accepted to the school. Along the way, I got a lot of experience with the college essay, and I like to think I know a thing or two. So we're going to start off here with our first essay. I'm going to go ahead and read it through, and then we're going to talk about some things that I think went well, some things that maybe need a little bit of fixing. They start us off early. The squeaking of sneakers fills the air as we toddle into the arena. Our parents tie our shoes and sling bags over our shoulders. We kneel on pudgy legs, fingers splayed against the hot asphalt. We wait for the gunshot. Suddenly, hands snatch my legs, dragging me back. My face grazes the ground, and through pebbles and rocks, I catch glimpses of what's ahead. A man in a crisp white blazer guides my competitors beyond the finish line. He is one of the men from the system, the ones who decide where each of us begins. Coming from a developing country, being black, and being a girl, I was set back before I even began. I was hardwired for failure, but hard set on success. In this race, I did not just want to keep up, I wanted to lead. I quickly realized that this race was not a sprint, but a relay. And as I reached the exchange zone, I slowed down ever so slightly, offering my teammates, those dragged back like me, the chance to grab the baton. I dreamt of a future where we were not separated by lanes or starting points, and worked to make that a reality. The closest I have come to this dream of global unity was Yunga, learning Arabic from a friend from Egypt while debating social policy with a colleague from Uganda reshaped my view of the divided world I knew. Young as I am, I see the future in everyone I meet, and my contribution to society is to give them the push they need to finish strong. It is not the medal I treasure, but the gift, resilience, compassion, and discipline that got me there. These are the values I strive to embody each time I step on the track, because no matter where we start, it is how we finish that matters. Some things that worked well in this one, I think, was kind of this conceptual idea of the race. You know, it kind of subverts your average essay, kind of creating this fictional scenario of people racing towards a goal. And I think that's a great analogy for, you know, what we do as students. I once heard it said that the couple of weeks between Thanksgiving break and Christmas break while in college is like the last lap in Mario Kart, where the music gets louder and faster and everything gets way more intense. I like how this essay wasn't just about the speaker's personal experience, and rather it was broadened out in kind of this abstract metaphor of what it means to be a student. At the same time, however, that I think also kind of hinders this essay in a way, because I'm sort of struggling to grasp the relationship between the speaker and this race that's happening, because obviously this isn't something that actually happened to them. It's an interesting piece of writing, but it doesn't necessarily do what I think a college essay should do. What you're trying to do with a college application essay, as I mentioned in my last video, is you're trying to tell the admissions counselors things about you that can't be said by your grades, by your test scores, by all the other things that you'll submit in your application. I think this essay approaches that idea, but it doesn't quite get there. I personally don't know a bunch about this person other than the fact that, you know, they were involved in this group that allowed them to meet people from around the world. That's an awesome experience to have, but it's only one experience, and it's not even the focus of the essay. The focus of the essay is this fictional rat race that never really happened. There's some strong bones to this essay. If I were to encourage this author to do one thing, I would really encourage them to focus in on something a little more grounded, something that actually happened, and maybe less metaphorical, because those admissions officers, more than anything, are looking for answers to questions they may have by looking at your application, and I don't know if this essay is necessarily going to answer them. Let's go ahead and check out our second essay. This one was sent to me by a student from Greece, which I think is so cool. Shout out to any viewers that are watching from another country that's not the US. Let me know down below, what country are you watching from? I'm really curious to see. You are not coming with me. You're not ready yet. Forget it. Ever since I was a little boy, I spent my summers in my island island of origin. One of the oldest memories I have is me and my grandfather sitting in his boat and preparing the fishing equipment for his after-dark journey to the open sea. It was my dream to one day have him take me on the boat with him. To get the upper hand in fishing, you have to work, fail, and learn. The idea of the result being a product of my own effort, strategy, and critical thinking is what made it so fascinating for me. However, despite my love for fishing, my grandfather constantly denied every plea of mine and never took me with him. I jolt my head up and my eyes half open. My eyes eventually stumble across the clock where I start to wake up. 1:38, I read off it before I notice my grandfather heading for the front door of the house. Instead of listening to him, I gather all my strength and say, I am coming with. We finally got on the boat. We untied it from the shore and powered on the engine. My grandfather showed me a direction and asked me to steer the boat there while he was preparing the paragadi, a traditional straw bowl that holds a long thread with hundreds of hooks attached to it. I felt as if I was suddenly a part of all the stories being told every morning by the fishermen, as if I could finally understand their language. Yet despite those challenges, I discovered a quiet strength within myself. I trusted my own abilities and instinct. The things I learned in this one adventure, I use to face anything that comes between me and my goals. This journey will stay in my heart wherever I go, and I hope to have many others like it. Let me just say, wow, what a great story. I really enjoyed this. Even if this wasn't a college essay, I feel like I would still enjoy reading this just as a piece of fiction. As a journalist, this is something that we do often, where when we want to draw people into something that we're writing, we begin by kind of setting the scene, creating a story. And I like how this one did that, starting with the quote, "You're not coming with me," and then sort of expanding to, being on this island where there's lots of fishermen, and I thought that was really cool. The other thing that I liked about this is that it really illustrated who this author is. They are someone that is determined, someone that is focused, and somebody that is going to go for their goals no matter what. And I think that's a great thing to demonstrate in your college application essays. That's kind of one of those intangible X factors that I talked about in my last video that obviously you can't display just by your GPA and all those other things you send in. The one piece of advice that I would give this author here about this story is that while it does a really good job starting with the fishing story, it doesn't really go anywhere from the fishing story. We do get at the very end this last little snippet about this experience taught me to use, critical thinking skills and all that, but I would love to see it, rather than being told I learned critical thinking skills, show me how the fishing impacted your life going forward. Or I would even love to see at the very end, finally pulling a fish out of the water and kind of that rewarding sense of accomplishment. I mean, that would be a really cool way to wrap up this essay, I think. While this story is really good, remember our word count. The word count is limited on your college essays, and so we don't want to get too close to telling the story. For instance, here, talking about the way you steered the boat and maybe this straw bowl with the hooks in it, those details are important to setting the scene, but I'm not necessarily sure they're important to the essay as a whole. Focus a little more on the actual function of these essays, which is, of course, as we said, telling the admissions officers who you are. And I think this essay does a great job of that. This third essay comes from someone who is a high school junior, which I think is really awesome that they are getting ahead of the game. So let's see what they have to say. My mom has this habit of taking a walk after dinner every night in the lawn of my house. I would always see her walk while staring up at the sky, and because of that, she would sometimes trip over things as her caliper would get stuck. So when I was really young at the time, like 5, 6, when I asked her, why do you always walk with your head up? She said that she wants to use the moon as the bindi, the Indian mostly red dot that women usually put on their forehead between their eyebrows. As for my dad, he doesn't really have any direct interest in the universe, although his burps are very much equivalent to the quasars let out by a black hole. I thought I wasn't able to discover my love for the universe until I was in 6th grade. A random video did that. It was June, scorching heat waves. The time was summer holidays, and my cousins had come to visit our house to spend vacation. The brother is 1.5 years younger than me, and my sister is 1.5 years older than me. Our parents all called us stairs because of the height difference. Haha, smiley face. My younger brother, his nickname's Onik, would always recommend to be new YouTube channels that never failed to surprise me. Do you know about black holes? Black holes, I repeated, liking the mysterious vibe of the word. But after watching the video, I realized it was something much fascinating and complex. I started watching documentaries on discovery science, like how the universe works, started online courses on astronomy along with my school studies. This is how I decided that I'm going to become an astronomer because I love learning new secrets about our universe. This essay, again, does a really great job of telling a story. That's one of the things I talked about in that last video. Don't want it to just be dry facts about yourself. You kind of want to have some fun with it. And I really like how this opens up talking about the mom always looking up at the moon and tripping over her her feet. And I think that can be a metaphor for ambition, looking up so far that you fail to see what's right in front of you and sometimes stumbling over that. And that's sort of where I thought this essay was going to go, but then it sort of seemed to almost kind of lose that promise that it gave us at the beginning, and kind of went off on a tangent about the cousins coming over and playing Fruit Ninja. And eventually the story got back to where it was going. That experience led them to discover astronomy and this passion for space. And I think that's a really great thing to say. A good way to write your essay is in kind of a cyclical style. So the place that you begin is also the place that you want to end your essay. And this one doesn't quite get there. I think this beginning little anecdote about mom walking in the yard looking up at the moon, I think that's an excellent place to start this essay, and I want us to stay there. Don't branch out into the cousins and the YouTube videos and all that stuff. If you do that, make it a paragraph. This one talks about June and heat waves and the cousins and the stairs and all that. I mean, those are fun details, and it's probably very significant to the author. But again, we don't want to spend our word count in places where it's not going to fulfill the goal of this essay, which is, like I said, to tell the admissions officers who we are. Another thing that stood out to me about this essay was there were some spelling mistakes, and the person noted that this is a draft, but I mean, there was some grammar mistakes, and then there was some kind of unprofessional language throughout. For instance, haha in here with the emoticon smiley face, cut that out right away. Not only is that just a waste of your word count, but that is not the kind of language you want to channel. That kind of language comes off as impersonal and kind of childish in a way, and we want to be channeling a sort of language that is going to mimic that of our peers in college. So think of professors, think of scholars, think of distinguished faculty members that work at this university. I guarantee you none of them write with emoticons or haha or anything like that in their essay. I know it might be kind of a unique approach, and it might feel like you're kind of going to get a leg up on the competition, but that is just a style that we don't want to write our essays in. If I was going to give one piece of advice to this author, I would say focus in on that beginning anecdote about looking up at the moon, especially talking about the bindi. I assume that this author is somebody from India or has like an Indian heritage, and I would love to see that developed into the essay. Maybe about how that cultural background impacted your decision to get into astronomy and kind of explore this passion, watch these YouTube videos, because I don't think it was YouTube that made you an astronomer. I think it was, this passion that was sort of brought out by other aspects of your life. Let me just say again, thank you guys so much for sending me your essays. It was really awesome to get to read them, and depending on if this video does well, I hope that I can do another video like this in the future. I'm also really interested in getting some questions from you guys for a possible Q&A. So if you want to drop something down below for me, ask me a question about college admissions, about higher education, about my life, anything that you guys want to know. I'd be more than happy to address that in a Q&A video if we get enough responses. Till then, guys, I hope this video was helpful for you, and I hope that you guys enjoy writing your essays, because it should be something fun. And if you want some more tips about how to make your essay shine, go ahead and check out the video that I made on that up there. Thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all those things, and we will be back soon with another video.